expensive, their effectiveness is dubious. But I think that I'm hoping part of a mass program of people talking about adversity. What's wrong here? How can we fix it? How can we get some benefit from it? I think just being honest about it, sharing about it, promotes a kind of openness and collective problem solving. Maybe we shouldn't look to government to solve all these problems.
The South African experience was shaped in large part by the leadership of Nelson Mandela now in his final days. Do you have thoughts on Nelson Mandela as he approaches the end of his life from, of course, your native country?
I really do, because the peacefulness with which the country transitioned from apartheid to the modern South Africa, the development of a constitution that is very highly sophisticated and used world scholars. Remember, Mandela was trained as a lawyer. These would never have been conceivable in my adulthood before I left. It was a miracle. It was remarkable. And I think rarely do we see one man having had such an enormous influence. He is really a hero of mine on the level of someone like Winston Churchill and world figures like that. I think his contribution really cannot be underestimated.
Let's go to Searcy, Arkansas, and talk to Barbie. Hi, Barbie.
Hi, I really enjoyed this subject this morning, adversity. I'm in a 12-step program for alcohol addiction for many years, and one of the hardest things is trying to manage my emotions. Also, adult children have an alcoholic parent, and I've just been trying this meditation, and I noticed for myself and others in the meetings, one of the hardest things to do is trying to quiet our minds for meditation. But my question is, how do you deal with siblings who won't take ownership for anything, and it's spilling over to her adult children now, and she needs professional help? I've been researching it myself, and she has this borderline personality, I believe, which is very hard to diagnose. And my question is, what kind of help can I give her myself without actually giving her advice? And how can you find a good psychotherapist or...
I think if I may chip in, that the biggest question is whether she has any interest in your advice whatsoever, whether she will listen to you, whether anything you say or do will register on her. So I think since you are a 12-stepper, you know that every meeting ends with a serenity prayer, that you need to distinguish what you can change and what you cannot change. So I think you need to look carefully and look at her and say, what is there that I can do anything about? Maybe if I just give her a brochure of a local resource, maybe if I give her an email, maybe there's something I can do. Dialectic behavior therapy is the new main tool for borderline personality. Maybe if I let her know that, oh, up the road there's a practitioner who does this, I hear she's great, maybe you want to go, here's her name and telephone number. Maybe that's all you can do. Or actually, maybe she doesn't really want to hear from you. So you need to make that judgment and then decide what can you control, what can you not control, and have the wisdom to know the difference.
Barbie, thanks for your call and our best wishes to your sister. I'm Susan Page, and you're listening to The Diane Rehm Show. Let's go to Pam. She's calling us from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Hi, Pam.
Hi, thank you for taking my call and giving me the opportunity to talk with Dr. Rosenthal. I want to express my absolutely undying gratitude to him and his staff. I was part of the clinical trials at the NIMH in the late 80s and early 90s. I managed very well afterwards at DC with the use of light therapy. And upon my retirement in 2009, I moved to Pittsburgh, which has become both the home of my heart and the trial of my life, in that it challenges Seattle for cloudiness in the wintertime. I recently reread Dr. Rosenthal's book, Winter Blues, and take responsibility for myself. Things are amazing.
Pam, thank you so much for your call. You know, Dr. Rosenthal, in this book you close with a discussion of mortality. I guess the final episode of adversity we all face in our lives. Why did you choose to close it with that?
It's a really good question because one of my dear friends said, oh, what a downer to end the book on. But really, that is the final set of adversities. I wanted to say goodbye to the people that you met during the book. I wanted to share with you what it was like saying goodbye to my father who died suddenly, to my mother who slipped away slowly. I think that's so much part of our experience as adults, saying goodbye to our parents who pass on in different ways, and how even as they're dying, we can give them enormous gifts, and they give us enormous gifts. I wanted to share that with you, reader.
Here's an email we got from Karen writing us from St. Louis. She writes, the hardest thing I've ever done and may ever do was to move in with and care for my aging parents, both of whom were suffering from various levels of dementia. The experience was the most exhausting, frustrating, and often heartbreaking experience I've ever had, but I do not regret doing it for 1 minute, not only because I knew it was the right thing to do, but because the very experience made me feel stronger as a person, and coming out the other side of a difficult task made the things that used to seem difficult seem like a breeze. Thank you, Karen, for sharing your own gift of adversity, and Dr. Rosenthal, thank you so much for being with us this hour on the Diane Reeve Show.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you.
I'm Susan Page of USA Today, sitting in for Diane Reeve. Thanks for listening.
The Diane Reeve Show is produced by Sandra Pinker, Nancy Robertson, Denise Couture, Susan Casey Neighbors, Rebecca Kaufman, Lisa Dunn, and Daniel Knight. The engineer is Aaron Stamper. Natalie Lifter answers the phones. Visit drshow.org for audio archives, transcripts, podcasts, and CD sales. Call 202-885-1200 for more information. Our email address is drshow@wamu.org, and we're on Facebook and Twitter. This program comes to you from American University in Washington, D.C. This is NPR.
Support for NPR comes from NPR member stations and from CVS Pharmacy, where Forever stamps are sold at the checkout counter 7 days a week. CVS Pharmacy sells Forever stamps. From Inada, maker of the Dreamwave massage chair with body scanning technology and shiatsu point detection. Learn more at dreamwavechair.com. And from Cancer Treatment Centers of America, a national network of 5 cancer hospitals dedicated to helping patients fight advanced stage cancer. More at cancercenter.com. This is NPR.
On the next Diane Reeve Show, children who strongly identify with the opposite gender are gaining more acceptance. Understanding gender nonconformity and challenges for parents in schools.
Show returns tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. Stay tuned for The State of Things, hosted by Frank Stasio after News Update.
91.5 WUNC-FM HD1 Chapel Hill, 90.9 WRQM-FM HD1 Rocky Mount, and 88.9 WUND-FM Mateo. Bringing the world home to you. North Carolina Public Radio.
When James Holzrichter uncovered some questionable financial dealings at a major defense contractor, he knew he had to tell someone, partly because that was the right thing to do.
But I also didn't want the government to come in later on and say that you knew about this, Mr. Holzrichter. You knew what was going on, and you did nothing, and you didn't tell us about it, and so now we're going to put you in jail.
Coming up in the story, the hard choices that whistleblowers face. That's later today at 1.
This is the State of Things. I'm Frank Stasio. Republican initiatives put to the test. The State House and Senate override both of Governor McCrory's vetoes. What do the defeats mean for the governor going forward? Plus, the State Board of Elections supports a local board decision to eliminate an early voting station on the App State campus. The lone Democrat on the local board says the decision is part of a pattern since Republicans took control.
They do not want, and it's not just them, it's a statewide obvious thing that's going on. They don't want students to vote.
The state board reversed a decision by a different local board to deny a student the right to run for office. Also, food historian Michael Twitty on what's really offensive about Paula Deen. And we preview a film series on the history of American pop music. Just ahead on the State of Things.
From NPR News in Washington, I'm Lakshmi Singh. Declaring the moral thing to do is not to stand by and do nothing. President Obama is trying to convince skeptical allies overseas to get behind military intervention in Syria for allegedly using chemical weapons on civilians. During a visit to Sweden today, Obama explains why he is seeking support from Congress.
I would not have taken this before Congress just as a symbolic gesture. I think it's very important that Congress say that we mean what we say. And